Hey everybody, David R. Becker here with Becker Art, and today I want to go over value studies, and more importantly, value pattern. Many people call it value sketches, and they look like what you see right next to me here, right there. That's what most people think of a value sketch to look like, and I'm going to kind of debunk that because this is a great value sketch, but it doesn't do what I want you to have it do for you as a watercolorist. What I'm trying to put across is that many people do it and they spend a lot of time in a value study to make it look like it really almost like the painting's going to look, and they're almost doing it like a painting. And for me, that's a great way of doing a value sketch, but I want to make more of a pattern. I have to see that you can understand why you're doing the value study. There's a reason. It's not the fact that you're doing a beautiful picture. To me, it's a value thumbnail of what the painting's going to be and the composing it, and it's all about building a blueprint to your painting. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this, which is all grays and a lot of detail in the picture, but it doesn't show me the pattern of lights and darks, is what I want a value sketch to be. The importance of the value sketch is so that you can know what the big composition of light and dark pattern will be in your picture. What I mean by that? Well, let me help you understand what I'm talking about. So if you look at this picture, and if I turned it black and white and let some of these middle tones fall into place, it would look something like this. And so then I can look at it and say, okay, is my pattern of light and dark, black and white, good enough so that your eye can go through there and it has a good weight on one side? Is there tangents? It just shows better understanding of the big areas of light and dark. And why is that important? Because when you're painting watercolor, to do everything really tiny and it doesn't give you that, what I like to see, those big washes, getting those big washes and the soft edges and all that kind of thing. It's easier to see that if you turn everything black and white. Also, you have to assign the grays either to the dark or the light so that your pattern is a little bit between black and white and making it simpler. The simpler patterns are always the best paintings, and I can show you 1,000 examples of that. But just trust me on that one. Is that the bigger compositions of light and dark, they have the simpler pattern, are always the best pictures. When it comes to understanding the distance and giving it dimension, it's just easier. And also, it gives it more feeling if you can know where the background, foreground is, and not have to worry about all your middle grounds, lights, middle tones, and darks all over the place. You kind of want to bring them together as a big area of light and dark. All right, so let me just show you how I would do that with a picture. Let's go right into here, and here is actually this is a pencil sketch of a value study, and this is one of mine that I did many years ago, and it was more, I wasn't thinking the same way as I am thinking now as a teacher, that this is, it's an okay pencil sketch. It shows me where my lights and darks are, what the picture is going to kind of look like. But again, it doesn't show the black and white, and it kind of does in the fact that my sky, my road, and my reflection here of the water is my light, and this middle tone and these darks are my darks. And so it's okay. It's an okay value study for what I'm trying to bring across, and you have to think black and white. Like, is the pattern look good? And yes, the pattern looks good here because you got the whole, even though there's grays up here, there's gray tones up here, right? But that is considered a gray tone that goes to the light. And this dark gray tone here, this gray tone is more towards the dark. They're gray tones, but they have to fall in one of the black or white areas. And so let's go through a progress here. Here's a color picture, a color photograph, and let's turn this into a good composition. Let's see what it's going to be like. If you were outdoors and you're looking at this and you see that this is the lights and darks of it, many people what you want to do is take the color away, and you can take the color away with like red cellophane. People have red glasses. You can squint your eyes to take away the color and then look at the values. Well, with a computer and a photograph, I can just do that by taking away the color by making it black and white, right? And so here's a black and white of the same scene. And I'm looking at it and I say, yes, I can see now the lights and darks and many middle tones here. There's middle tones all over the place. There's middle tones over here, middle tones over here, these middle tones, and I have a lot of darks and middle tones in the middle here. So if I made this thing black and white, I could maybe see even better which middle tone will go to the light and which middle tone will go to the dark. And so I can mess around with that a little bit. What I can do here is I can just change it to black and white, posterize it. Many of your editing programs in your phone have a posterize effect, or take the contrast way down on both ends so that it makes it no grayscale. No grayscale at all. And you can see where the black and white are going to be. Now this to me then, it shows me the big pattern of light and dark. And this doesn't look like a great pattern to paint because everything is in this lower quadrant here, lower right quadrant. And so I would think that I would want to have a little bit more lights in over this area where I'm pointing right now. This area is way too light and everything is over there, that everything in this area is all light. And so everything's kind of heavy weighted to the right. And that's not a great composition. So it shows me right away that these grays, these middle tones over here would have to be, you know, if I want to make them a little bit more, maybe I make it a little bit darker on top or something. But let's just say that if I crop this area, I can probably crop right here, crop on the top a little bit, and then let me just do that right now. If I crop it, then it brings it up, and look at now I have a little bit less of the light area, a little bit more dark, and then I also took this middle tone over here and made it light, so I brought it to a light. Now this is a much better composition than the last thing. I have my boat that's in the third quadrant. This is my center of interest, the boat. So everything looks so much better, and the fact that I have the big lights and darks. I also took a lot of this middle tone that was back here, a lot of the stuff that was back there. You can still put it there, but make sure that then the darks, the middle tones of that will go towards the dark so that it's not so much stuff back here. Otherwise, you have so much contrast back here with a bunch of little stuff that it's going to come forward and make it look more important than this boat, because all that stuff, there's homes back there, remember the rooftops and stuff in the first scene. So if I make those gray tones in towards more the dark area and leave these lights more towards the light, like this boat actually was in a gray scale also, right? This boat was in shadow and it had middle tone. So I can make this in the middle tone, but make it more towards the light area. And so that it seems like a part of the light composition. Light composition meaning that this is the lights, and then you see the black is the darks. And does it weigh well? Does it have tangents? Does it look at it and just feel, does it have a good sense of design to it? And to me, this is a much better design than the first one I showed you right here. This was more, everything's to the right, right? And so everything's to the right, and so it's really off balance a little bit. Maybe if I made this a little bit lighter in here, that would be okay. Maybe it still would work okay. And I can make a little bit of dark reflections maybe in the water here. And it could still be a great thing, but this gives me an option to show me how I can fix the composition and the light and dark pattern. It's all about the pattern. Think about pattern. That's what I want. Don't think of it as doing a value study to make a nice picture sketch, you know, because that's not what it's about. It's not making a sketch. It's making a blueprint for your drawing, for your painting, basically. And so again, that's what I came up with on here. So if I go back to the sketch, the pencil sketch, that again now is a great sketch, but again, it doesn't show me the big picture of lights and darks. If I do this to it, if I take and I make this to it, yes, that shows me then the black and white, but it still is not a great pattern because I have a bunch of lights and darks in the apples, and the vase has a bunch of lights and darks in it. So what I would possibly do is make this area right here, I would bring that, and I would make this vase, I would make those lights a little bit towards the dark pattern, because then I could see it away from the light background, and so that would then could be a gray, a middle tone that's more towards the dark. And same thing with the apples. I wouldn't make the apples as bright as this, the white wouldn't be in there. The middle tones would be more towards the dark, and that way this whole area is like a dark. And it's still, it's not going to be black and white. You're not going to paint it like this. It's just for you to understand, to simplify the big areas of light and dark. So when I do this apples, I can do one big wash over that. I will still do my 3-step process that I always talk about, where I do my background lights, or I do my lights first, and that could be the whole background, and I can put it right into these apples. But then when I do my darks, my big middle tone darks, which is step 2, then I could do all these together as one, and those would be like in my middle tone dark area, so that they would pop out from the background. right? And so that would make a better value pattern. And so it's all about that pattern. I can't stress that enough too, because I've noticed a lot of you think of a value study again like this. This is what you think a value study is. But that doesn't show me the pattern. It shows me that it's a great sketch and it looks nice. I mean, it does look nice. But when you are painting a watercolor, you want to make things simpler for yourself. And so you're not just doing this one apple and making it look exactly like that apple, then doing this apple and making it look like that apple. Many people who do hyperrealism, yes, that's what they do. But I'm trying to teach you how to big areas of light and dark and make those tones so that the composition really holds together really well. All right, and so I'm hoping that you understand how important that is to do a value study, but not a value study, but more a value pattern study. So you're giving yourself a blueprint to your painting each time I do this. This is a great value sketch. It's a sketch, but it's just to be a really nice sketch, but it doesn't give me the blueprint of how I'm going to do my watercolor painting. Unless you do hyperrealism, then this is probably perfectly fine, because then you can just do exactly these values, do it exactly this way, and it's fine. But when I'm doing a watercolor, I like to see it black and white. That's, to me, as a teacher, I've been teaching this way, and it really helps out the students. I notice it really helps you understand why you're doing a value study. It's not just to get every value that's in the photograph, but it's to plan out your painting and make it look better than the photograph, and make it look better so it'll paint itself easier. That's what a value sketch is. I like to call it a thumbnail sketch too, because again, I don't want you to sit there and spend hours on this. This is just something you should be looking at, making a big picture of light and dark. All right, I hope it makes sense on that. But if it doesn't make sense, ask questions in the description of this video, and I will try to answer them, because it's really important. It's number 2 thing that is the most important in your painting. Number 1, of course, is drawing. Drawing is very important in your picture, so you get that first. But number 2 is you're composing the picture, and the easiest way to compose a picture is by doing a value study, a value sketch, value study, value pattern. It's all the same to me, but many people see it as this, as making a really nice pencil sketch of it. But that's not what the purpose is. It's like a draftsman doing a building and drawing a building. It's more of the big values. All right, so a value sketch. Value sketch is a good term for it, but it is more of a blueprint sketch, and it's about the pattern. All right, so we'll see you on Thursday, and I'll be talking about that in my next paint along, which is always on Thursday evenings. Not every Thursday, but when I'm around town and in my studio, we do a paint along every Thursday. Sign up for my newsletter. You can see what we're painting, or go to my website at beckerart.net, and you can find out what we're doing on our paint alongs. And I'll be talking a lot about this week when it comes to value pattern. We really I need you to understand that and to design your pictures well. All right, until next time, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.